What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Next Gen Digital Project Manager series. I'm excited for today's live stream. As we see right here, we got like a little background situation. We got the green going on, right? The sun is blaring, but we okay? We are just fine. And I'm excited for today's live stream. What we've been doing this past few couple of times, you've seen the advertisements, and I know you've seen the live streams on Mondays at 8. We're exploring the Next Gen Digital Project Manager, right? What's going on, K Marie Digital? So good to see you. It's been a little bit. And so what we've been doing is we've been asking the question, what does it take to be a next gen digital project manager? And so there's three particular areas that I'm highlighting. Like I said, I don't know how long we'll be doing this series. We'll probably be doing this series till the wheels fall off, but we're looking at leadership strategy and execution. But what we're doing with the Instagram live series is I am joined by some really cool people who have been who are titans in their industry. These are people who are what I would call the number one. They're the game changers. They are the difference makers in their industry. And so what I always love to do is I always love to be a part of communities. And since project management is my bag and that's organization is my thing, I always like to see how other industries are applying the project management principles inside of their industry. And so tonight we're tackling the event pro industry. I'm excited. I have two people. I got two people, and we're about to get this thing started. People in, got a couple people in that are going to join me for this conversation. It's going to be a good one. Oh, look who it is! Look who it is!
I'm here.
Look who it is! What's happening?
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I can hear you okay. Yes, I can. I hear you just fine.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Clear.
Okay.
All right, y'all. This is going to be so good. This is a conversation of conversations that we need to be having. I'm excited. So introduce yourselves.
Introduce ourselves.
Yes, introduce yourself.
Okay, Desi, would you like to go first?
Sure. I'm DC Evans. I am the owner of Kind and Company Events. I'm an event manager, so I help all sorts of people with their events, corporate events, nonprofit events, social events. We really try to help folks enjoy their party so that, we take that stress off of you so you can just relax and just enjoy your event.
I love that.
Oh man, I love that. Jasmine, how about you?
So hi everyone. My name is Jasmine Brianna. I am based in Los Angeles. I work specifically within live events and entertainment, and so my background is largely in live music, concerts and festivals, but I've also done fashion shows, conferences, and a bit of corporate. I really do enjoy working with creatives, innovators, and curating life experiences that really captivate a moment and change lives. So I'm excited to be here.
Oh, this is really good. And I love it because each of you are in distinct markets that you have within the event professionals industry. And I'm glad that you kind of touched on what you were doing. I feel like at the heart and center of what you both are doing is, on the client experience, the customer experience, the really like the what are people going to get from it, right?
Exactly.
And I do want to talk a bit about a couple things. I want to talk number one, Jasmine, if you could walk me through sort of from a perspective of when you are in the beginning stages of working with a client, what is the conversation like? And Desi, please chime in as well, because I think what often I see is sometimes we get off of, especially with these projects and events, we may not get off on the right foot because we don't have the vision, or we don't have
Mhm.
what's needed. How, walk us through that experience. Like what do you do? Yeah.
It's funny enough because I actually don't typically work with my clients from the beginning. Typically, they bring me
Hmm.
like the anchor. Yeah. Funny enough, it was not intentional, but that's where I've landed, and I really enjoy helping being that anchor, that that executioner to really wrap it up. Um, I tend to deal with a lot of clients who, by the time that we connect, there may be in over their heads, or I typically work with other event professionals whose clients have, like the scope of work has like grown overnight. And I know we're getting to scope creep later, but they need some event support, or another event professional to be their right hand or their manager on site. And so that initial conversation, typically, I mean, it's pretty intense. It's a full dump, where they let me know what their goals were and where they are. I like to know, whose hands are in the cookie jar, because oftentimes, when you're dealing with and events is such a independent industry. There's so many variables or players, and so I like to know who I'm joining the game with, and really understanding what their needs are today, urgently. And I always find it interesting because we think that we know what type of help that we need, and until that conversation is had, and then we're actually able to pull out and really define where we are and where we can get to. And so that initial conversation is typically a workshop. It's also has to be something of a safe space, because it's typically, there's some disappointment, frustration, some shame, maybe because they haven't hit their benchmarks, or they don't know what the vision is, and like the event is now a month away, or whatever it might be. And so we have to clean that up and then figure out a plan that we can execute.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah. I love to hear your perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Yes, Desi, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I start at the ground level. We
Mm.
start at the very beginning. Usually I get contacted because someone, has decided they're doing either a new event or a legacy event, and
Mm.
they just need some help. And so we start with from the very beginning, what are your goals? What is, how are you engaging your community?
Yeah.
What is it, why are you doing this? There's a
Mm.
lot of events that happen just because they've always happened.
Mm.
Right.
And that's not necessarily the best, And so we want to make sure that, when folks are planning, especially if it's something that's 6 months out, 8 months out to a year out, that they're really planning something that is going to do what it is that they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Again, whether it's for their community or for their own, internal community. Yeah, so we just ask all those questions from the very beginning. What do you want to do? How do
That's
you want to
right.
do it? Yeah, timing of the event, and is there any other competition for those dates that you might be looking
That's
for?
good.
So yeah, so
No, you spark something. Um, because I believe this. It begins and it ends with strategy.
Yes.
So you said something, Jasmine, so pivotal, because it's like you said you sometimes come in the beginning, or maybe, or sorry, in the middle.
Forward. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're in,
Yeah.
and then
Like they've been
you're
working on it for like 6 months, and
right.
they have 3 months left, and they realize
Time's like,
so I got to pull them in.
yeah, we gotta pull them in. And then okay, and then you're going from Jesse, you're going from the ground level. And so what do you think's the missing link? Whenever, is the missing link that it's like the scope, that it's not tight enough? Like what about what about that piece? Yeah.
I mean, for me, sometimes it could just be there's too many ideas.
Yes.
There's too many people coming with their own
That's what I'm saying.
way, their own
Yeah.
suggestions, their own ideas of what it is they want to do, and there's really no
Yeah.
clear leader
No.
on which path you should take, and that's where I can see Jasmine coming in, where they've started, and
Yeah.
then they've figured out they're in the weeds, and now they need some real
Direction.
serious help.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, too many ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's everything under the sun. Okay,
Yes.
it's thinking
Hands
that we
on.
may have these like Oprah-like budgets and we can make everything happen because
Mm-hmm.
we either have the staff, the manpower, the
Yeah.
capacity to pull it
Hmm.
off when really we
Mm-hmm.
don't. And
Right.
then we
Mm-hmm.
also
Mm-hmm.
then lose focus of the original intent
Yes.
of what we're looking to do. Back to that part. But then, okay, then here's the thing that you said about like there's no leader. So then when you all are coming in, how are you setting this tone? Like it's from that leadership perspective, like because some people be like, well, you can't boss them around. You just need to put on the event.
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Yes.
I've seen them. Like I said, why y'all pushing these people
Like
around? They're
you call me. You
I'll let
know?
Jasmine take
Yeah, no,
that.
there is oh no. Is it me?
You're okay. We got you a little frozen. Hold on, maybe we got you. We're but yeah, I think well she comes back on, but I think that's it. That's an important piece, right? Like, you're coming in and you're identifying. Go ahead, Jasmine. Yeah, I see
Oh,
you. No,
sorry,
you're
Oh,
my,
good.
my internet cut out for a second.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm not sure if I missed anything, Bob. We still talking about
Leadership. Yeah,
the
leadership.
leadership. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Identifying a
it's
leader.
funny because I can't say I have found something like a uniform pattern. It is definitely a case by case study. With the power dynamic, I also have that extra level of almost always being the youngest person in the room. I'm only 29, right? And so
Okay.
coming in, yeah, as an event producer, as an event strategist, on director levels, management levels, yeah, it's a little difficult to manage sometimes. But for one, when they don't even know who the point person is, you know, and then they have somebody who is prepared to be and like ready to take the helm and stuff like that. There can be that tension. It's also a question of whether or not it is a something of a hierarchy in leadership or a partnership. My clients, my favorite clients, the clients that I'm working with today, I am a partner, so
That's
it's a
good.
collaborative. Yeah, and so I also work with small businesses, small teams, again, independent creators and so forth, so I don't have to deal with the bureaucracy of corporations and waiting
Mm-hmm.
for approvals and so forth. So it's very direct, and so it's just a lot of clear communication, transparency, setting boundaries and expectations very early, and having and just having that relationship and that space to just like tweak as we go. I mean, it's imperative that we are adaptable, that we give grace, and we just understand that this is a process and a journey, and we have to trust each other, and that we know, because they are the creative and I am the producer, and so that partnership, that's what's going to see us through. So yeah, that's my answer to that. It's beautiful
yeah.
though.
And,
It's beautiful.
and I think you're right. I mean, once it's been determined that it's a partnership, and I'm not just here to boss you around or to tell you what to do. People usually do fall in line,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because and it's funny because sometimes my customers will have an idea, and I'll be like, well, and
Not
they'll be like, well, you're the
the
professional. You're the professional. I think just like what Jasmine said, I'm lucky that I do have folks that just kind of fall in line,
yes.
once we're brought in.
Yes.
I love that you it's the partnership piece
Mm-hmm.
that you highlighted, but there is something about going back to the too many ideas.
Yeah.
And so even with the project and it's like the events going along, you're planning. I know that there are often changes, right? It's just the nature of it. But
Mm-hmm.
like, so how are you filtering like brand new ideas that are just outside of what was contractually obligated? Like that, you know what I'm saying? That are just like, you know what, Jasmine? you know, we need to get 4 giraffes and we need to have them on the first, you know what I mean? Like, how
Right.
are you, you know, what
I'm
does that look
it's
like?
definitely a question of alignment and
Mm,
feasibility, you know. And I'll address the latter first. Feasibility, to the point earlier we were just talking about, you know, time, money, these are limited resources, you know.
oh, yeah.
um and and it's different when it's like when it's your own event and your own budget, and you know, and so forth. But when you're working with a client and a partner, I mean, your backup is up against the wall, you know. Like, there's only so much power that I have, and you know, in managing or finessing these variables to make this alchemy work, you know. And so really just trying to get them to understand that it's just a lot of reality checks. Like, you know, it's just a lot of reality checks, and it's some, like, you know, because nothing's impossible. It's just all about
Right.
scale, you know. So
Wow.
I love the vision. I love the concept. Let's see how, you know, how we can do, you know, how we can do it on this scale. So that's feasibility. And then the first one, see, this is why I don't go backwards. What did I say the first one? Alignment.
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 Yeah, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So like I said, align with the vision. Because sometimes, especially in panic, you know, clients just love to reach for everything. You know, they're driving on the 5 freeway on the way home, and they see a billboard, and all of a sudden they get an idea,
Yeah.
and they want to, you know, they want to implement it, and it's so far off. Or, you know, like they're worried too much what their competitors are doing, or, you know, they're trying to be the next shiny thing, all these gizmos
Mm.
and so forth. And it's like, you just stay true to who you are, especially as we're building on your community. You know, we're building on your brand identity. We're building on the relationship you already have and your reputation. You know, like, there's no need to go all in the margins and stuff. And also, it wouldn't even serve you because it's going to look random. You know, it's not aligned. Just stay focused. Don't panic. Like, we are okay. If anything, we can just dig deeper where we are. You know,
Mm.
alignment and feasibility. DC.
I would say just
Good.
knowing what you want the outcomes to be. I mean, at the very beginning, that is one of the things that I try to suggest. It's like your wildest dreams. What does this look like?
Yeah.
What is it you're trying? What do you want to do? How do you want it to look? Okay, now, do you have the money for this? And so,
Ooh,
and
money.
sometimes, I mean, a lot of times
Ah,
they will say, yeah, we do have the money for this, and this is what we want, and that's fine. But it's really just making sure that, you know, a lot of times we do go back to our scope and keep looking at the scope and saying, okay, now when we started, these are the things that you wanted to make sure were out there, people saw, or what you wanted to accomplish. Does this fall in line with what it is you're trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need giraffes? Is that gonna increase the you know, someone's donor pockets? Is
Right.
that going to increase that?
Right.
Or is it just something that you want to have in this event? So, you know, just making sure that you constantly are going back and checking the scope, checking the mission, you know, making sure that things align accordingly, and just making sure it's clear. And that comes with those strong partnerships that we talked about in the beginning. You know, when you've formed good relationships and people trust you,
that's right.
Yeah.
they'll understand that walk back and why you're saying that.
Absolutely.
Because if it costs, you know, another $50,000 for a giraffe, couldn't you use that money for something else?
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Absolutely.
would that be
There's
better
always
to be
something else.
used? Yeah.
Ah,
Man,
that's so good.
and to that point,
Yeah.
especially in events, you know, there comes a time when we're in such a time crunch that we can't afford the time to, like, talk these things through, you know, and for you know, for me to bring my client to the same understanding. And that's why that trust factor, once again, is so pivotal, because when I move suddenly, I just need for you to trust me that I need to, like, you know, I need to move
Hello.
suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and that I have, you know, I have your vision and your best interest in mind. So yeah, so understanding for sure, but even more so trusting, because especially as we are the authorities, the event authorities within that space, you know, there are some things that are just going to be beyond their, you know, their understanding, and that's why they hired our expertise, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's that's so, I mean, those are such good points, and those that are just tuning in or just sort of kind of taking some notes, you know, I think what we're seeing is that you want to come in and partner with your client, number one,
Mm-hmm.
building trust, It's honesty at the front and at the end and the back and the front and the sides.
All around.
It is strategy, and it's being intentional about outcomes, experience, and everything. But okay, the word competition came up and it just kind of
Yes,
went,
that
but
was so good.
I want to bring it right back, because I don't want to neglect the fact that my observation is that once we shut down, pandemic, virtual events became a thing. It still is, and I also think it's just magnified even more.
Yeah.
But are you seeing in this space of, because I see this person do an event, I must do an event, that happening? And then I think there's a I don't know what you would call it, but there's a sense of, how do I make my event unique? Now, is that what the focus should be, or is it should be on, like you said, outcomes, and then also what the public or the community needs? Like, I wrestle with all of that. Like, what should be coming first?
Well,
I'll let you answer first.
okay. So the way I see it, the pandemic changed things. I mean, obviously, people found that they really do enjoy seeing each other, whether it's virtually
Yeah.
or whether it's in person. Um, but what I think, when I look at, my competitors in the field, I say this all the time, and I know this is going to sound off pretty basic, but an event is just it's just project management. That's what I always say.
It
I
is.
went to school for project management. It's project management 101.
That's
If
right.
you can get through, yeah. And so the way that we make it different is by adding our own special touches. And so, you know, anyone could do it. I mean, I say anyone, I know anyone can't, but as far as my competitors or the people in my community, we all are doing auctions, or we're all doing social events or engagements. And, it's finding a way to have a special touch that makes that event special for that community at large. So I'll just give an example. We did something for the Seattle Firefighters Foundation here in Seattle, and my designer came up with an idea to, when you think of like the centerpieces and, how to just elevate this just a smidge, instead of having just regular vases for the flowers and, the tablescape and stuff like that, she actually had little rubber boots that look like little fire boots. And she found red boots that said Fire Chief on it. And she just really just made the event more special
Wow.
for those people that were in the room. And they are still talking about it today, how much fun they had. It was their first time doing this event. But the fact that we took that extra bit of care and really honed in on what, who was going to be there and what the organization was, that is what elevated this
Yeah.
event to make it the talk of the town in my mind.
Intentionality.
Ooh.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, so just finding, competition is there no matter what it is, but if you can find a way to make your event of just a smidge better, more elegant, more elevated, more, personal, it's going to be successful. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Amen. Amen. It was funny because this question, I'm not sure if it directly relates to my clients. I don't think that creatives or in concerts they lose too much sleep trying to be more unique, and they're not necessarily looking at their competitors like, oh, my competition is doing an event, I have to too. I believe that creatives are inspired. I believe that the industry in general, they definitely, you have to be living under a rock not to see and understand this necessity to congregate. Like, we are social
True.
people.
That's
We
true.
are social people, and then after the pandemic and the shutdown, people just needed a good time. Oftentimes people need distractions.
That's right.
People just need to be able to make new friends. I mean, dating life, corporate industry, just mixers, all spaces, all industries benefit from events. There's events everywhere. We know this already. But I believe that in working with independent artists and creatives is interesting because they are realizing that they have the power to, throw their own events, and in order to connect with their audiences, they throw their own concerts and and album releases, and even like podcasts and live recordings and so forth. The economy is shifting towards, it's incredible watching the like the independent sector growing.
That's
And so
right.
what we're seeing instead is it's more like, so instead of saying how can we be unique, we're celebrating the fact that the centerpiece of the event in the creative space is the creator. So in doing so, it is inherently unique, and
Oh,
that's
I
why
like that.
focusing so much on the brand identity is important, So
Wow.
creatives are big on their brand, they know who they are and all this other stuff. So they make my job super easy, and all we do is just build experiences around that. And to DC's point, like just being super intentional, giving thought to like, who are my people, and working with creatives and independents, like they have a more intimate relationship with their listeners and their followers than the big and bad and so forth. And so just encouraging them to engage with and play like their favorite songs, or Q&As and all these other engaging things. It's about building community, and that's how you make your event unique, because every community is unique.
Yes, that's right.
It's easy enough.
Oh, I like
Yeah,
that a
building
lot.
community is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm interested even just to hear even trends in your own industry. Where are you seeing the shifts technology wise, and whether you're executing the work, or just like what people are even requesting when you're in the planning and all of that? Yeah.
Hmm.
Is
DC,
That's
you
a
ready?
good question.
I can answer
That's
first. I can answer
okay, go
first.
for it.
Okay. So as far as what I'm seeing, yeah, the live event space is not so technologically advanced or progressive as I feel like the corporate space might be, and that might just be because I've been in trade shows lately. But it just feels like there's so much opportunity that we're not seeing in the concert space or the live music space. Like virtual reality,
Mm-hmm.
the metaverse. Like I'm really excited
that's
about
right.
what the future holds as far as being able to bridge this gap. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. Let me not start going because I love talking about technology and entertainment, because technology, first of all, increases accessibility for all, and so wherever you are, wherever you live, however much money you make, relatively speaking, you can attend a concert. You could possibly be front row and watching, and or engaging or making friends in China or across the world and all this other stuff. We can make events so much more intimate. We can make the world
Mm-hmm.
smaller by leveraging technology, and so
Yeah.
I'm really excited about what I'm seeing as far as event trends go. I'm not seeing it being so quickly adapted in live event space. I think that live entertainment, they know what works and they're gonna keep going with it. I was hopeful, and I'm still holding out. The pandemic, I don't even know where we all lie on the litmus paper, but it's not yet over. Okay, so we're still,
Right.
and
It's not
and then
over.
like the recession that will come, is yet to come. So
Right.
there's going to be a lot of changes in the next few years. But I was really
Wow.
hoping to see, that the live event space would see, the pandemic and be like, oh shoot, we definitely need to make the like sustainable, even if we can't meet in
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
person. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that they haven't. We're going to see with the data and stuff, and people, announcing, releasing
Hmm.
things, what it looks like in the near future. But I'm really hoping that the virtual reality and the metaverse, live event space, I'm
Yeah.
excited.
And I think making events more engaging is going to be, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I went to I don't know if anyone went to the Van Gogh experience that I just thought was so incredible. And it was, just a really cool way to see an event. And whenever I walk into a space, I try to imagine, how I could do
That's
something
right.
like that in the
Right,
event that I'm
right.
producing. And so, I mean, just being more engaging, more intimate. And I think that's what we learned about, through the pandemic too, is like with everything being virtual, you had to be engaging. You had to do what you
Absolutely.
need to do to keep everybody in their seat, talking on Zoom, eating their popcorn, drinking their cocktails, you
Right.
Right.
know. And so, finding ways to bring that community together through your event is really key. And I mean, it may not be a new industry trend,
Sure.
but it's something that I think we're going to see a lot more of, and people finding more unique ways to do those types of things.
Absolutely.
No. Yeah, I think I think you all are on point. I'm hearing more and more, especially when I think we're still in the early stages of like you said, the independent, like the creatives economy, the
Yeah.
creators economy,
Small
a
businesses.
lot of
Yeah.
small businesses, those that are in that coaching space, and
Yeah.
they and also like the boom of like communities, and then
Mhm.
bringing people from all over and saying
Yeah.
you need to meet that thing. I think that's going to skyrocket too. I do want to tap back into just some examples, some pointers, and things that you want to share for the clients you work with, because again, you are in high demand. They come to you because you can get it done, the execution piece. So let's talk how you go about getting the people that you need. How does that work? Contractors, you're pulling your own people in. Like, yeah, like how are you doing all of that?
This
Like,
is
because I
Betty.
feel like that's a lot. I feel like that is like a lot,
I,
but in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I, I can tell you when I first started, I am very, very, very lucky, and I say this all the time. I have a great team that works with me, but I've had people who've been like, "Oh, I can come and help you with your event. I'll come and help," and I would take that help.
Yeah.
Of course I would. I mean, like, yay, come and help. And then one day I was like, well, I should pay these people to come and help. And so I switched from just come and help to then I would pay. Well, what ended up happening is certain folks really learned that they actually love doing events and they love coming. And so what I had to do for my own self was change my thinking from I have these people coming to help to I have these people doing a job. They are here because
Mm.
they want to do a job and they want to do a great job. And again, I will always say that my team is the best because they are. But it really the way to keep them, and my team, they're all contractors. Um, and you have to pay well. You have to pay higher than the
Mm.
Yeah.
market will bear in some instances. But what you end up with is a very cohesive and professional team
Yeah.
that makes your brand shine.
Mhm.
And that is one thing. All of my, testimonials, people will say time and time again, your team was amazing. And I know it's because I pay well. I think I pay well. One's on here; she can vouch for me. But
Tell the truth now.
but you respect the people that are doing the work because they are carrying your brand on their body. They're sitting there, they're talking to your public, they're
Yeah.
talking to your customers. And why would you want to pay someone, minimum wage or whatever,
Right.
to represent you? And
Mm.
so that's the way I look at it. I know not everybody has that ability or that luxury to do that, and
Right.
I get it. But I think the thing that I'm trying to say, if you find good people that work with you and they're willing to be your ambassadors and be your cheerleaders, you want to treat them well, whatever that looks like to you.
Wow. That's so good.
Wow.
Paying people
Okay.
what
Their value, their worth,
their worth.
investing
Yeah,
in them so they can reinvest in you.
absolutely,
So what
absolutely.
you're
It's
saying,
so tough.
Jasmine, is like when someone says, "I have this $100.
Mhm.
Can you come
Mhm.
in?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Can you carry us to the finish line?"
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Jasmine, what does that look like on your side, though?
So funny enough, I mean, where I am with my company, I'm still independent. I'm still a team of one.
Mm-hmm.
I work with a lot of early entrepreneurs, a lot of students as well, in training and mentoring. But most of the time when I come in and I'm working with the client, I'm working with the client and their team,
Right.
or people they've already established. And so there's not always an opportunity to bring in my own people, even though I would love to. And so for the times when I when I am working with, you know, I'm playing the game with the cards that were dealt. Um, yeah, it's a bit of kind of like repositioning. It's a bit of coaching. A lot of times you find that talent resources are not, you know, really like optimized. People don't even realize that, you know, that their team members have these incredible gifts. They kind of just like put them where they needed them, and instead of really like finding out who they had on their team. And so really just getting to know the team, repositioning, making sure everybody's um, well informed as well. I think there's a lot of assumption that the people on the team, especially coming in, like where at the time that I come in, that everybody is on one accord, and more oftentimes than not, they're not, you know. And so me having to first of all be brought up to speed, and then bringing everybody else up to speed, just so that we're all, as DC said, you know, cohesive, that we're all on the same page, that we're all working towards the same goal, that we're not wasting energy doing things that you know doesn't serve the project. So yeah, that's my relationship with staffing and team support.
Well, there's also something to be said for volunteers, because there's a lot of,
Mm.
like, for boards, and
Yeah,
a lot of organizations will bring in volunteers, and you know someone said that a volunteer job, you can look at it, like they're making like $20 an hour, they're
yeah,
$25 an hour in their volunteer time. And so I think, from just like what you said, really catching those folks up to speed and really honoring their time
absolutely,
when they are there is really
yeah,
key too. Because a lot of these folks have come and done these events and these things for year after year, and if you don't treat them well, they're not coming back either. So just,
absolutely,
be nice to all the people is really
yeah,
what I'm trying to say.
yeah. I'll also add, especially working with a team of contractors, you know, we all come to this project with our own personal goals, you know, our own professional goals, you know. And so also just having an understanding of what those are, you know, where everybody's independent objectives are, again, making sure they are aligned with the actual objective, but also supporting the other businesses, because you also don't know, that could be another, you know, another contact after this event, you know, that you
Hmm.
could call them if you need help, or they can call you
Absolutely.
in, you know, in exchange. So always building those relationships, also building our own community. You know, this industry is small and it's tough and it's tight sometimes, and so we don't want to burn any bridges.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
I think that's a good to underscore the point of treating people right. But I also want to know, because you guys I know are strategizing, leading, and driving the work. Sometimes you, in some elements, you are doing the work. But talk to me through, like, are y'all doing this on pen and paper? I'm sure you're not. Checklist, like
I
how, I
mean,
mean, because how
you
does it,
know,
are you
You
in a are
saw my desk earlier. It's crazy.
I promise you, you don't want to see it.
are you in a technology tool and platform? Like, how are you communicating, especially when you're bringing, like, if you brought me in, Jasmine, you're like, okay,
Yeah,
Ashley, I just need someone who can just like help with a little bit of strategy or whatever the case is.
yeah.
How are you onboarding me into the fold? Like, how do I kind of know what's going on?
DC.
Yeah. So for me, I use Google Documents a
Yeah.
lot. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I have folders, I have master files, I have all sorts of things, and
Yeah.
that's how we communicate with. I just got, before this call, I was talking to a customer, and she sent me the link to the drive to the document
Come
that
on.
they're keeping the notes on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's everything I can get my hands on. But yeah, there is a lot of paper and pen.
Mhm.
There's notebooks, almost too many notebooks sometimes. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Who's
Where
these
did it come
notes?
from?
But I do, yeah. But I do try to transcribe as quickly as I can
Yeah.
if I do something with pen and paper to a Google folder.
Hmm.
So, but
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my workflow. So again, early stages. This is what I'm excited about. You guys will catch me in a very pivotal moment, because I'm going from independent and just like kind of going with everybody else's flow to establishing myself. And I'm like, nah, I need things to be like the way they need to be. And so I'm building my own business, and then everybody else can, you know.
Absolutely. And I think that's the well, she comes back in, I think, to her point of just while you're building, you do use, I'm a big advocate of using what you have. So you have your
Right,
Google Drive,
right.
right? before you're even.
Look
Okay,
at
we're back.
Okay, cool. Go ahead. Yeah, we
I'm
were
so
just talking
sorry,
about
y'all.
using what you have. When no, you're okay. We're just talking about using what you have as and when you're starting out, and then
Absolutely.
investing
And
in.
like and using what my clients have. So
Yeah,
I'm doing a lot of market research. I'm really just understanding what everybody has been using up until this point. I'm really excited. You know, like you don't just go in trying to change the game, not knowing how the game is played. And so, like, you
so
know,
true.
and so what I'm seeing is, to DC's point, everybody uses Google Drive galore. Like I can't even say enough. And so to that extent, it's been exhaustive. I have a lot of files. It's not great as far as, it's a lot of files within files. And then especially if you leave it to the clients to organize, like it's just, and so what the workflow that I'm implementing and I'm excited to continue to develop, leverages platforms like, I also transcribe. I use like Otter AI, so it's automatically transcribing my meetings.
That's
I'm
good.
about to
that is
invest in
good.
an iPad so that when I am writing my notes, because I am old school enough that I need like pen and paper. Like the way my brain thinks and the way, especially as an innovator, like trying to rely on old systems to create new systems is really difficult. And so sometimes I just need that blank piece of paper and sketch it out. But then on an iPad, it'll be able to, digitize it and then all these other things. I also use platforms like Monday and Asana as far as like
Mhm.
project management. But I'm looking, the biggest thing that I, and HoneyBook as far as my CRM. But the biggest thing I'm looking forward to implementing is a community space. And then Ashley, I know I spoke to you before from the like European community, but a space where like a client portal type of thing, but somewhere where, because my clients are creative, so they need to be able to like dump their images or their ideas or their audios and stuff like that on a platform where I can also receive it and I can notate on it, or we can pull things together, something like a Miro whiteboard type of thing.
Absolutely.
So those are some of the things I'm playing with. So quick fun fact, I'm currently getting my master's degree, business
Good
and social
for
entrepreneurship.
you.
Thank you. Yes, just started a few
Powerful,
weeks ago.
powerful,
Yeah, I'm
powerful.
excited to build a social enterprise in events and production. So that's going to be my first master's. And then I'm going for my second master's in innovation, integrated business design and innovation, because I'm trying to figure out how to innovate technology into the social enterprise. So in a few years, I'm gonna have a really good answer for this question. But for right now, it's a lot of testing, it's a lot of research, it's a lot of playing around. I'm having a ball right now. There's a huge boom in this industry. A lot of great tools are coming out. So we're going to see what they have for us.
Now, did you
Yeah.
say, okay, because you said with the community piece, how you said the creatives need a place for them to dump their images, audio, and things
Yeah,
for you to read and react to. Is that what you were saying?
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay, that's cool.
yeah.
So I almost thought, and you just probably just both of y'all probably need to write it down, but I almost thought you said we're going to say I'm going to have a community for creatives focused on events because
Oh, I
I
will.
okay
That's what you
okay
heard.
okay
Yeah,
okay that's what I
yeah,
heard.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah. No,
Okay,
that's
okay,
what you
good.
heard. I'm so
Okay,
excited. No, no, no.
okay.
That is
Just
exactly what you
wanted to
heard, and
make
I'm
sure.
so
That's
That's
glad
good.
your
That's
ears work.
I just want to make. I just want to make sure I was following that because that, my friend, is
Yeah,
brilliant, and that, my
yeah.
friend, I have not heard or seen.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Wow.
I
I'm
love it.
super excited.
I love it. I'll sign up.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, I kind of think that. Okay, so I'm really big on this. It's almost like the standardization, but not necessarily like. I'm not trying to talk like rules and regulations of like you can't do this,
Right.
you can't do that.
It's like
But I am
streamlining.
right. I'm
Mm-hmm.
into standardizing like
Yeah.
the different approaches and processes
Yes.
across some of these industries that are like just emerging and figuring
Yeah.
it out. And
Yeah.
so I think that piece
Giving
that
a
you just highlighted,
blueprint. Just
yes,
some
yeah,
guidelines.
just
Absolutely.
some guidelines and some big best practices and things like that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because what you will
Best
find
practices.
is people that are starting out that are seeing again with the fact of like, oh, X is doing a community or an event rather. Okay,
Yeah.
that's something that I love to do.
Yeah.
But what is my roadmap to that?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And I,
Yeah.
I feel like
Absolutely.
that's like the piece that maybe is just not touched on enough.
Absolutely. It's
Well,
that call it the traction gap. Sorry, DC, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, no, no. I was just gonna say that I think for a lot of people, they feel like they're for especially for some that have been in the business for a long time, that they feel that they need to hold on to their trade secrets, and there's nothing new under
Yes.
the sun. There's nothing new under the
That
sun. I've given
iron
people my
grip.
contracts. I have given people my checklist.
Yeah,
We're here to help each other. I mean,
absolutely.
community builds community, whatever that looks like. And so whenever someone will post a question in a forum or whatever I'm in, and does anybody have a contract that I can look at? I'm like, sure, here you go. Does that mean that they're going to use it when I'm giving them word for word? No, but I had to struggle to
Yeah,
create something,
yeah.
and I feel like we shouldn't have to struggle so hard.
That's what I'm
So
And so,
saying.
good.
Like,
So
why
mhm,
can't we
good.
just help the
That's
next,
so good.
generation to get a little further ahead?
yeah,
Yeah, there's something about that insecurity of just like, I have to keep what's mine, and I
right,
can't share and
right,
things like that. That's why I love the community that we're in. Quick shout out to Black and Events Network
Oh
because,
yes.
people are forever showing up and just showing love and showing support and just pouring
yeah,
into each other and sharing the wealth of knowledge, the resources that we have. Um, because it's hard enough out here. It's hard enough out here, and
yeah,
there's plenty. There are plenty. There's plenty of resources. There's plenty of business, plenty of money to go around. We
right.
can all eat. We can all come up. So yeah, great point.
And Jasmine, I think you were the first person that I ever heard say Chat GPT.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
wow.
be on that chat GBT now. You be on that.
I
Yeah, you
haven't
be
been on it in a minute, but thank you for
yeah,
reminding me. Thank you for that. Yeah,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
yeah. So one of the things that I've learned, because I when we write emails or whatever, they're not always going to sound the best, but if you
Right.
chat GPT, it's going to sound great. Anyway, but just for folks that are trying to figure things out, you can type in create a checklist for a new event,
Yeah.
that is going to be outside or something like that.
Mhm.
It'll give you some parameters of some
Yeah.
things that you can use. It may not be everything,
Right.
but at least it gives
It's a
you
starting.
a road. It's a
Mm-hmm.
start.
Mm-hmm.
It's a start.
Yeah.
So
And that's
that's
such a good
another way
point.
too.
Oh, someone said ChatGPT and then use Quillbot to fill in
Oh,
synonyms and wording for more inspiration. Yes. Okay,
Hmm.
Quillbot. Resources.
Yeah,
Quillbot.
Write it
yeah.
down.
I think that there's a piece of this where um there's different strengths that we all have,
Yeah.
and where and there's other areas where, like, that's not my strongest suit, but you know what, let me go and find some inspiration. And I think there's two sides to this. I think it is, if you don't, especially if you may not have a process like down pat, like
Yeah.
solidified, document along the way,
Right.
Yeah.
what it is that you're doing, whether it's shorthand or something, where you're
Yeah.
able to really see. And I'm big on setting a time of reflection. That could be quarterly. If you can do it monthly, that's
Ooh, I
great.
like
But
that.
I think it's really good that if you set aside maybe just 1 hour, and you could just like put it on like a date in a calendar in your Google Calendar, to go back and say, all right, this is gonna be my time. I'm gonna look through my emails. I'm gonna look through my files, and I'm just gonna just go ahead and just start writing a few things. It just
Yeah.
helps to build upon the process at hand. You know what
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. I love that. So okay, let's dive into favorite projects that you worked on, and then like lessons learned, whether that's like something that surprised you, an interesting turn of events, like like yeah. I'm sure you guys have a lot though.
Right. And so after a while, it gets really difficult to try to choose one favorite.
Yeah, because it could have been something of maybe it was something like the day of the event, maybe
Mm-hmm.
something that, I'd love to know, like day of event, like even like strategies. How do you make sure everybody's calm? Like,
Well,
Hi.
I can tell you. I can always tell you my favorite event.
okay.
It's one of the events that I actually produce. It's called Cocktails for a Cause,
Mm.
and there's a lot of folks that do Cocktails for a Cause. But what we do is we try to find individuals that will come and set up booths and all that stuff. We don't charge them any fee, but most of the organizations that we have, or the vendors that we have, come and, sell their items, are people who have like some type of relationship with either an organization, or they've been part of something that has caused them to, go this route. So I'll just say, like, the person that I usually use for my catering, she was a part of the sex trafficking industry, and she got out and she has learned to be a caterer, and she is amazing and doing great work. And so all of the people have a story or something that reflects back to what it is that why they're doing what they're doing, whether it's selling jewelry,
Yeah.
making postcards or whatever. They have some type of story, and 100% of the money that's raised goes back into an organization that we pick in the community. And so I don't even charge a fee for this. I just put this event on for the community, for
Wow.
the people, for the organization. And yeah, so that's my favorite one. And the reason why is because I just love that give back, however that looks, for everyone. And so day of is a little bit crazy, but so I won't go into that too
Yeah.
much, but
That's
it's
cool.
fun. But it's really, I mean, it's really down to keeping good track of what your run a show, your timeline,
Yeah.
all of those things that are going to make any event successful. It's just really keeping good track on that, and communication with everyone that's involved, because like I said, no one's paying any money to be a vendor to this. And so they don't have, like, I wouldn't say like a vested interest, because things come up, things happen, and I get that. But for the most part, I mean, just really making sure you're communicating with everyone, letting them know the time, what the expectations are, and why we're here,
Why we're
why we
here.
want them there. We want to put people in places where they wouldn't normally be.
That's right.
So
Purpose.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. What about you, Jasmine? What are you thinking?
Man, I was hoping I have a good answer by the time you finished. That sounded really good.
No.
Man, I wish I could say I had a favorite. The favorite that always just comes up to mind will always be like my first festival that I produced, and it was as a student.
Wow.
And grad. Yeah, I produced my first music festival in undergrad. It was my favorite because it was my first time with like a big budget,
Ooh.
coming from poverty. Like I never had access to that much amount of money, let alone was I allowed to make the calls on it, and
Wow.
fully curate this vision. I had no supervision outside of just like, school regulations and stuff like that, but, and had no prior, professional training or anything like that. I have been planning events since high school, but that was like high school dances. But a festival, like working with real talent agencies and like record labels, and
Wow.
yeah,
That's
and
cool.
yeah, I had a co-director who was handling all artist relations, and I was handling all the production, and we were able to bring on this full team of all students, and we had student artists opening up. And that was like their first time. We had a real stage, like a big old stage on the quad. And so they got to open up for BJ the Chicago Kid was our headliner. I was
Right.
able to bring on Black-owned businesses from around Central LA onto campus to bridge that gap so we could recycle the Black dollar. It was just it was my first
I love it.
real effort and
That's
like shot
really
at
cool.
I
impact.
love
Yeah,
it.
it was beautiful. It was so beautiful, and it really did. It defined the rest of my event career. I was pre-med, or I was at school to be a OBGYN, and I was like, nah, events and community building is where I'm gonna be.
There you
And
go.
so that's why it's my favorite to date. I'll also say, just because I feel like that's a cheating of an answer. My most recent favorite would be, funny enough, it wasn't even in live events or live music. It was in academia, and so I had to manage the stage for stages. It was like 4 concurrent stages at one time,
Oh,
like going all week. So
what?
6 days, 4 stages, all day, workshops, field trips,
Oh
a
my
whole bunch of stuff
gosh.
happening. Yeah. And so it was for this client, the California Academy of Science, the museum, and they are a member of a global membership for spinach, where they all take turns in hosting the annual
What?
conference. So yeah, this was the United States' turn to host, and they hosted in San Francisco. So
That's cool.
was able to go down there and manage the stages, and it was, I mean, each session had like 16 speakers, and it was 4 stages at one time. There was a lot going on, a lot of hiccups, a lot of things, but in the end, just understanding, just knowing that I came away with it feeling like I made a huge difference in the history of the planet, because the client, the work that they do, and the purpose of the event to congregate and to bring all of these archaeologists and botanists from around the world to come together to talk
Wow.
about latest results, and like how the earth is doing, and like what we need to be doing to help the planets and the animals and things. But if that conference hadn't happened, then
Wow.
it would have set us back. These are the
What?
people who are keeping the records of like every single insect that is crawling on this planet. They know what's happening, and so yeah, it's just like being an event professional. It positions us at the intersection of so many other industries, and
Wow.
it's always an honor to be able to have a bigger impact, a larger impact beyond just the moment, beyond just having a good
Love it.
time.
I
So
love it.
yeah.
Good for you. I'm really, really proud of you
Thank
for being able to pull that off. Good job.
thank you.
That's
Yeah.
that's pretty next level.
Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
I mean,
Thank you.
it really is. And what I'm hoping is when people watch this live and in the replay, we've had a lot of themes that we've touched on throughout. We've talked about the power of partnership as a leader. We've talked about why it's important to outline and underscore the vision, the scope, and how that really leads to event success.
Yeah.
We've talked about the importance of, as you're building team, how you need to pay people what they're worth,
Amen.
as well. There's also, we didn't even dive too much, as much as we, and this is probably a part two down the road, but how you do have to have that spirit of innovation,
Yeah.
even within the work. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
we can get real deep into that. We
We
also
sure can.
we did not I'll talk about risk, but we'll do that another time. But but the
It's
fact
never
that
enough time.
it's never enough time, but also too using what you have,
Yeah.
right? And I think, oftentimes we think that we need to just have 80 million different things to make it work. You got your
Mm-hmm.
brain power, you got your tools, you got your
Yeah.
unique flavor
Yeah.
and sauce. And as you build in terms, and this is for people who are like aspiring event pros, those who are just starting out, maybe you're a veteran, but these are really some of the things that are really also taking your particular business and brand to the next level.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts? Because this is phenomenal. Any closing thoughts?
Um, I'll just say, when it comes to thinking of, doing events and, working with folks, just try to think outside the box. There are so many unique things and, fun things that you can add to any event. And, just don't be afraid to take those chances.
Yeah.
Use that technology, and project management is your friend.
Yeah. Yeah. My closing thought would be that life is like a live experience. So I really want to encourage everybody to just take note of all the beauty in your life, all the things that you enjoy doing, all the things that connect you guys, to one another, and building on that. Those are the invisible strings that tie an event together. It's beyond the venue, beyond the DJ, beyond the food. Those are important, but it's also that engagement. It's about the purpose and what brings us all together at the end of the day. Thank y'all so much for having me. This was a great discussion.
This is
Yeah,
so
thank
really, really good.
you.
So where can they find you? Because obviously you are needed.
Um, Instagram. I'm on Instagram. You can always DM me if you have a question or just have a thought that, you want to run by me. Instagram is really, really good. My website is www.kacevents.com. So you can always check that out and shoot us a message.
Awesome.
You can find me on LinkedIn. That's my favorite platform. So my name is Jasmine, JazmynBreanna, Jasmine Brianna. You can also find me on Instagram at the People's Producer. That's People's plural. I represent the people, amen. So the People's Producer, I do not currently have a website. I am intentionally down. And so things are kind of backdoor right now, but if you DM me,
Right.
I would love to help you. I would love to support. So thank you guys so much. And I look forward to all that's to come. It's an incredible time. I'm excited.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank
We'll make sure to put all that
you.
information in the description. And yeah, there's more to come. So connect, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.